What's up, everybody? I'm Nami. I've been traveling the world for 2 years now. And so I just wanted to do a little video on what I wish I knew before I left the country. Let's get into it. So the first place I went to was Chiang Mai, Thailand. Crazy. It was like, let me go 24 hours. Or I think it's 12 hours ahead. When it's nighttime in the States, I'm going to be living my best life. And I was super excited about it. I was ready to go. I was ready to leave the country. So I had good spirits. I had visited Puerto Rico and Cuba before, but I just always knew I wanted to travel. So I was like, let's go. There was some things that I was not expecting, and one of those things was adjusting to the pace of life and really letting go of my previous pace of life. I found that in the States, everything is go, 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 go. In LA and places like New York, there is a lot of like fast paced movement. I found myself wanting to go, and I found everybody else just really chilling out. Like there is just a slower pace of life outside of the States. It took some adjusting because I realized, I couldn't expect things to be done on my time because everybody was on their time, especially in Chiang Mai. It's like beach time. So I just suddenly didn't have to rush anywhere. I could take time, talk to a friend that I stopped by on the street. Things are not very punctual. So if you are a time freak, if you are a control freak, that will take a lot of getting used to. I am not, and it still took getting used to for me. So it definitely felt weird at first. It felt like, wow, everything doesn't revolve around working, getting things done. I just have time to think. For me, it's a better quality of life. Now, that did take about like 6 months to really like allow myself to accept this new pace of life. But since I did, there's like no going back. There's no way I would ever go back. Another thing, because I travel with my daughter, I've been traveling since she had just turned 3. I couldn't really have any expectations because I never traveled with her internationally before, but yeah, I just didn't really know the type of adjusting that would be needed. And really, you can only know by going through it and seeing how you operate with your child, how your child operates while you're traveling. So, yeah, if you want some traveling tips, I did do a video on how life is traveling with a toddler, what to expect. So, I'll link that down in the description below. But yeah, it definitely took some adjusting. With that being said, I realized that I needed to find some me time quickly. Within the first month of being in Thailand, I was like, whoa, I gotta find something. I gotta find a nanny. I gotta find a daycare. I needed more. I needed more me time. I did have a lot of thoughts of like, oh my God, did I make a stupid decision doing this? And I know that's not specific to being a parent and traveling alone with your child. That is something that will go through your head even when you've left your state or your town that you're comfortable in. It can be very unnerving to just be in a new place, especially with new people, with a new language, and not know anything. Some people are super adaptable. I would say I'm a very adaptable person, and it still had an element of stress for me, for sure. There was moment of doubts. There was moments of, oh my God, I just moved me and my child to Thailand. Like, I didn't go to Mexico where I could have just easily gone back home. I went to Thailand where if I wanted to go back home, that's a minimum of $1,000 ticket back. So yeah, just expect that there's gonna be moments of like, what the am I doing here? Like, what am I doing? And that's okay. It's okay because it's new for me. There was a lot of times I knew that I wasn't going home. I was never going to be going home to live. And I knew that it was okay if I didn't want to be in Thailand. I could go somewhere else. I left room for changes. But yeah, I didn't expect going into it that I would have thought, oh my God, what am I doing? I didn't realize also that it would feel so good for me getting out. I knew that it was going to be fun. I knew that it was going to be like, you romanticize travel, you know, but obviously I'm living out of the country. So I knew that there was going to be an element of like hard integrating and finding things and like, you know, just adapting to a new situation, because I did have moved, like I spent a year in a different state for the previous like 6 years before deciding to move out of the country. So I knew kind of a little bit about integration and things like that. But yeah, I just felt like I was in the States always in some type of stress feeling energy. And by no means did my like my challenges and things go away when I moved, because that doesn't happen. You take your things that you need to work on with you, but it definitely felt a lot more relieving. I felt a lot better, especially after the 6 months of like being able to integrate into a slower pace and give myself rest and just be surrounded by a different type of community, different type of people. That whole 6 months was a wild ride in Thailand. Like there was so many ups and downs, and through it I still felt grounded. I still felt like, okay, things are hard, but they're hard in the moment. It's not like lingering, and I could never get rid of that lingering feeling in the States, which was really annoying. So piggybacking off of that, I realized that it takes me 6 months to fully integrate into a place, honestly, to feel comfortable, to feel like, okay, I know where my spots are. You could give it 3. I think moving forward, I would stay at least 3 months, unless it's supposed to just be like a quick trip, or unless it's someplace that I've already been before. If it's a new country, I would love to at least stay 3 months. But 6 months is when I start to feel comfortable. And so maybe that's something to know if you're wanting to travel and you're wanting to like live in a new place, to not let your emotions get the best of you, at least for the first 6 months. Yeah, I would love to know if you've already traveled, like how that works for you too, because this is just something that I've noticed for me. Around 6 months is when I kind of feel like I maybe have a friend or two that is a good connection. That's when I feel like just comfortable in my space. In those first few months, it's easy to spiral. It's easy to be like, what the heck am I doing? The doubts. It's easy to just feel out of place. It's easy to maybe look up some tickets on where you can go elsewhere. Like after the 6 months, it gets a little bit easier. You feel more like you belong. You have more connections. Yeah, it just feels a little bit easier, at least for me. With that being said, in those 6 months too, just be aware. I keep a journal, and I love to like go back and see how I'm feeling, and I just like freely write in there exactly how I'm feeling. So maybe that's something that you could implement. I definitely would encourage you to not dip into your loneliness, isolation, which is really easy to do because your only comfortable spot is like your house, your cave. Put yourself out there, be out in spaces where people are, find things that you can go to socialize. I do find a weekly event that I can go to if I don't have friends yet, or if I can't go meet somebody for coffee, or I find like festival or, you know, farmers markets, something that I can just go out and like people watch, or just like feel that I'm kind of in the space of other people. I met a lot of cool people like that, and it would just be at a random Wednesday open mic night that I could take Wilder to, and we could just go if we need a socialization, and if not, then we didn't go, but we had the option. And don't forget to have fun. You're traveling, you're experiencing. Go out and do things. Go out on tours, go hiking, go to parks, go to cafes, go walk around popular neighborhoods, and look up on TikTok, Instagram, different things to do. Go check them out. Like, don't be afraid to just. Another thing that I wish I knew was how traveling affects people, how moving abroad affects people. I found that when people move abroad, they start to try and control every little thing because they can't control their environment or how they're feeling. So you try to just control what you can. And that can turn it into being very anxious, being very tense. So that's something to look out for, and something that I really wasn't thinking about before I left. Another thing that I notice is that when you're in a new place, you, in the same aspect of control, sometimes try to hold on to your past life, how you operated in the States and what you're used to. I can't tell you how many people I've seen that were annoyed that they were in a country that didn't speak English. You're in Thailand. Why are you getting annoyed that you can't communicate with somebody? What did you expect moving to a country that's completely different than your own? What's not clicking? But yeah, that's something that I've seen a lot. Americans are big for this, but yeah, people carrying their mindsets from their countries into other cultures and countries where that's not a thing. You know, like America is very selfish and very consumer based and very fast paced and that's not how like a lot of the world vibes, at least in my experience. So if you're holding on to all of these expectations and ideals of how your world should look when you're in a completely different world, like it's not going to go well for you. I also didn't realize how free I would feel moving out of the States. Just free. I didn't realize like how many people I would come across that were doing the same thing as me, with less than me, or with no plan, with kids and no plan, different walks of life. Another thing I didn't realize is like, I thought that going out of the States, I was hoping that I would come in contact with more people with my mindset. And I realized that a lot of people travel for completely different reasons. Like some people are traveling out of survival, some people are traveling to free themselves, some people are traveling just for a holiday and because they have money to just travel for 3 months and not give a crap about anything that's going on around them. Some people are traveling to find community. Some people are traveling to just be completely isolated. Like there's lots of different walks of life that you come across, and I just kind of thought that everybody who was going to be traveling was going to be like just as free flowing as me, and I thought that I could connect with a lot of people because of that. And I have connected with a lot of people. I have found people that are like that. It takes a certain level of freeness in your mind to be in spaces that are completely opposite than what you're used to, but it definitely was mind-boggling coming across all of the different types of travelers. I guess a few tips for adjusting to life abroad would be to join Facebook groups, join WhatsApp groups, find your community, especially if you're a community-based person. It can be very easy to connect with people outside of the country. So get into WhatsApp groups, get into Facebook groups, and just see what's going on. See if there's any events that you'd like to go to that you'd be interested in. Figure out what accommodations are comfortable for you, but it's really great to meet people in hostels, different events like open mics and things. Those are places where people are going to be a little bit more open. You can join book clubs, workshops. There's a lot going on depending on the city that you pick. YouTube is your best friend when traveling. We have all of this information, firsthand experiences right in our hands. So use it to your advantage. See what people are doing. There's YouTubes of people just wearing a GoPro and walking around a city. So you could literally see the layout of a city just because somebody gets paid and has millions of views of just walking around with a GoPro on their chest. There's a lot of people in very niche down areas that will give you the ins and outs. I like to focus on my blogs, so maybe these videos aren't as detailed as other people's videos who solely just focus on this type of content. Find those people and search out the city that you are wanting to go to. Definitely understand the traveling requirements, understand the visa requirements. It's not fun to have to get up and leave in 2 weeks or a week because of a visa situation. So understand the requirements as a foreigner to the places that you are wanting to go. That way you minimize any unexpected hiccups. I really advise you to assess your mentality before going. Are you an adaptable person? Are you a particular person? Is it hard for you to adapt to new situations? Are you good with living less than your standards? Assess who you are before so that you understand where you need to adapt during and how you are going to move about after. You will find that out a lot more when you're traveling and when you're in the act of doing things, but try to assess who you are and what you need so you can like better prepare yourself as you're going and just be aware of what's going on and how things are affecting you during. My last piece of advice would just be to figure out where your peace lies in your environment. If where you live does not feel good, your entire experience is gonna feel harder. So just figure out what makes you feel good and comfortable. Figure out where your standards are. That way you know, like, I'm not gonna go below that. If you know that you're a person who needs your space, then you're probably not gonna want to go into a hostel. Or you might be able to deal with a hostel, but only for a short period of time. If you know that you are a person who's going to freak out over not having hot water, that is something that you would want to double check with your Airbnb. If you know that you need to be working, co-working, you need a cafe, you need good Wi-Fi, then you know that you need to look for cafes that have good Wi-Fi for the reviews. Is it a good place to work at for your Airbnb? Does it have good Wi-Fi? What is the speed? Just try and make sure that you can have peace in your environment no matter where you're at, and assess who you are as a person to figure out where your peace lies. And that's about it. If you have any questions, let me know. If you want to follow me on Instagram or TikTok, it's at Nami Hewitt. I do hosted trips, so check out in the description which trip I'm hosting now. If you're looking for blogs, if you like to read, naturallynami.com has lots of blogs on traveling and whatever else I feel like is on my mind. If you made it this far, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much. See you next time.